Welcome, Facebook friends. This is Dawn with Shall We Stamp. Surprise! I am out of the country for the next 2 weeks, so I am coming to you by a recording, but I do have another fun fold or a different fun card that I want to share with you all. So if you're watching this, please make sure you leave comments for me as to the card, and if you'll share the video as well. And then when I return, then I'll be back on, I'm not sure, it's going to be 2 weeks, and then when I'm home for a week and then we're gone again. So February is going to be kind of a weird month. But when I return in the next 2 weeks, then I will draw names and of who've responded, as well as sharing the video and get something out in the mail to you. Now that may not take place until the first of the month of March, because we're leaving again after that as well. So anyways, I found this card today. It was from Melissa Kerman, and I just love, again, we're using the Painted Poppies stamp set, but I love the way that she used stitched nested dies to labels to cut this out. So this is the card that we're going to make, and it's really not as bad as it looks. It's a little, you've got to do some masking. So sit back and relax, and I will show you how we're going to make this card. Now this is the Painted Poppies stamp set that I'm using. So if you haven't purchased this, I would highly encourage you to do so, and you can go to my online store at shallwestamp.com. This is a really fun stamp set, and it does have coordinating dies that you can purchase as well. And if you buy the two together, then you do get a 10% discount. And I think the bundle runs $52, which would also then give you a free celebration item for spending $50. And you can get all of that information on my store at shallwestamp.com. So we're using this stamp set again, which are like a field of flowers, and I'm also going to use this one. Okay, so let's get started. we're going to make the exact same design as this, and I'll walk you through the steps of what we need to do. We're going to start with a piece of mint macaron, 1/4 by 5.5, and then we're going to take a piece, I'm using the thick Whisper white cardstock. Let me get my thing in there. And this is 4 1/4 by 5.5. This is going to be, the thick Whisper white is 4 by 10.5, and it's going to be scored at 5 1/4. We'll go over this in a minute. Then we have a piece of the Mosaic Mode Designer Series paper, and this is hang on a minute, let me flip this over. Hang on, let me measure this for you. It is, I've got a piece right here that's not metric. This is 2 inches by 4. The Designer Series paper is 2 inches by 4, and then I have a small piece here which is 3/8 of an inch by 4 as well, and that will go on top of here on the white once we get that done. And then we're also using, I'm going to push this off to the side, we're also using the stitch nested labels, and I'm using this one, this size. It's the one that fits, and you'll be able to tell when you pull it off and set it on your card. So what I wanted to do is I laid it on the card, and I left a little bit, maybe, I don't know, that might be a 1/2 inch or so. I just kind of eyeballed where I wanted it and ran it through the Big Shot. Okay, so the next step what we want to do is a couple of things. One, we're going to have to do some masking. We're going to stamp, so we want to make sure we're going to stamp inside our frame here. So take a pencil and just lightly make a mark of where the top and the bottom, I put a mark right there for the center, and then I'm going to make a little mark here so I know where my bottom is, and I'm going to do the same over here, there, and I'm just putting a little dot, and then right here. And then of course we'll be able to erase this when we get done. But what this does, it's going to help us stamp to make sure we're in the center there. And what I've done is I've cut out the flower, the single flower. I've stamped it on a Post-it note, and then I cut it out as a mask. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stamp this first, and then we're going to stamp the poppies on top, so it's going to make it look like that some of these will be in the background, and then we'll color them in with our Stampin' Blends. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and lay down my Post-it note, and you want to come down about I would say maybe 1/4 of an inch, and I'm just eyeballing it, so it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, And then I'm going to go ahead, use our black Memento ink, and we're going to ink up this flower here. So we want to make sure we get the ink on there and get it covered. And thank you all for joining me. I really do appreciate this. So I thought this is one way I can stay up with you all and not miss out, and you don't miss out on anything since I'm out of the area. So we're going to stamp this. We have it masked because we want it to come down some. And I want this flower to be probably right about here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp that there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little masks that I've done, and I'm going to cover my flower. And you can see it's kind of wobbly. And we're just going to cover up. And this is masking for those of you that don't know what that is. It means that we're taking a design and covering up the part that we don't want to be stamped and covered. So this will allow us to stamp, and then the image that we stamp is going to make it look like it's in the background of this design. Okay, so we have our mask on there. I'm now going to take the poppies and I'm going to ink these up. Now I'm going to place these, and if we, I've got it to where they'll come down some. So I'm going to place these, and I've got from, here to here. So I'm going to try to stay within that. If I go off just a little bit, I'm not going to be too concerned. If I come over this way, I could get that flower under that leaf. But then, well, this is where, hold on. This is where the edge, so it's going to go up like that, right? So let's do that. Let's go like right about here, and we'll push that down and see what happens. All right, so I'm just going to let it sit for a minute. I just want to make sure I get all of the ink transferred. Not so bad. We'll see how it comes out. And then I'm going to pull up my mask. All right, and then I'm going to come back and erase my pencil marks. Let me do that. Hang on one second. Let me cover up my ink. Let me get my eraser. Okay, so we want to erase our pencil marks. And if you have any on the top, I just went back and erased them. And I bought these off of Amazon because I found that when I used my pencil eraser, it tended to leave marks. So again, I love this this design of the card. I thought, well, this is really cute. So I'm looking everywhere trying to find. So if you all have something, if you have a design of a card that you like and you'd like me to do a video on it, please send me a copy of it. Send me a picture, and I'll be more than happy to design it. Okay, I think we've got all the pencils off. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our markers, and we're going to color in. And I'm going to start with my Old Olive because I'm going to color this one leaf here. And just be careful with this. I'm going to start with a dark, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw on this one line right here to give it some depth. And then I'll come back with the lighter shade, and I'm going to use the small tip only because we've got such a small area. And I'm just going to make swirls and color through this. All right, I think that's, and then we're going to do the stems. And this is where you have to be really careful not to go outside of the lines. If you do, then we have our fantastic color lifter. And this part right here gets a little skinny, so I'm barely touching the paper with my ink because I don't want, see, I went out of the lines right there a little bit, but I'll take the color lifter and we'll move that out of the way. We'll just push it back a little bit. And then we're going to take, since I'm doing mint macaron cardstock, I thought we'd do a mint macaron flower. So I'm going to take the darker one, and I'm going to come in this area where these the center of the flower is, and it's a little bit darker. And then I'm just going to come up and do a little bit of light, put some shading, so when we color it, it might give it a little bit of, so color that right there. All right, and then I'm going to come back with a light one, color this in, and we're just going to blend. Then this is the flower bud, so we're going to do that one as well. All right, and then we're going to come in with our poppy, our poppy parade, and I'm going to start with the dark, and I'm going to make little marks just to give it, again, a little bit of definition on some of these flowers. And I'm not going to do a whole lot, I'm just going to do a little to give it that look, and just, again, just to help with a little bit of definition. And we'll just color these All right, and then I'll come back with the lighter one and we'll start blending these. So this is where, and I think I should have some flowers there, but for whatever reason, I think they didn't come through. And I don't know if the paper was in, I don't recall actually when I stamped it, the paper was in the way. I don't think it was because we just had that and it should have went through, but it's okay. We're going to let it go like this. No one's going to know the difference, right? Because they don't know what this card is supposed to look like. So I hope you all enjoy this. In this stamp set, the Painted Poppies, it really is a great stamp set. If you have not purchased this, I highly would encourage you to do so, and I would do it now while we're in celebration. If you have a die cutting machine, then you might as well go ahead and get the coordinating dies, and then you'll qualify for getting a free item from Celebration. And there's so many cute things. We've got the meerkats. I think I did a card like that for you all. Lots of things. We've got the Power of Hope, which is the Oriental, which is really a pretty card, makes really gorgeous cards. And so many others. Of course, the lily pad, which I think we've done that as well, if I'm not mistaken. I might be getting confused because my classes, I'm trying to do the same, very similar projects. So it makes planning for me a lot easier. Okay, so I think we've got the poppies colored, and I think I'm okay with that. I think I'll go ahead and just color this. Looks like there's one might be at the bottom, so I'm just going to let that. All right, so we're going to leave that the way it is, and I think that looks good. So that's how it's going to look when your person receives the card. They're going to see that. Now, you could have brought the poppies up a little bit higher. I could have probably moved them up so that flower would have been right there, and then I would have had more poppies on top. But I think that's okay. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and, let me move this out of the way. We're going to go ahead and attach our designer series paper and our little piece of mint macaron. I'm going to use my Tombow to go ahead and add this to the front of my Whisper White. I've been using a lot of this, and as you all know, I've told you before I don't like it, but I'm using more of it. It seems to work really well. I just don't like when I get it on my fingers. So we're going to lay that right here, and we're going to go all the way to the end of the white. And if it hangs over a little bit, then we'll just trim it off. You know, because sometimes you'll cut, but the paper cutters and the paper and everything might be off just a little bit. So if it's hanging over, it's okay. We will trim that up, and I'll put some here on the piece of mint. And this is 4 inches by 3/8 of an inch. I'll have the measurements and everything listed on the video, so you should be able to see those too. And I'm just going to butt it up to the DSP. I'm not going to overlap it. So I'm just going to bring it right to the edge of the paper and then make sure it's there. All right, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. And we have just a little bit of the paper hanging over, so which is fine. We'll just take my paper snips and a little bit of that cardstock. So we'll just snip that off. And sometimes it's not even enough to get your scissors. There we go. So we'll cut that off. And then now we're going to go ahead and attach this to, well, no, we're not going to attach it yet. Hang on a minute. We're going to put our crinkled seam binding ribbon on here. This is the white. It's in the mini catalog. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this around first before we attach it to our card base. And if I haven't shared this with you all before, if you want to know how much ribbon you need to tie a bow or a knot, just measure the width of your card. So to tie a knot, you'll do 3 times the width. And then to tie a bow, you want to do 4 times. So I'm going to come over one more time to get 4. And then, excuse my hand, I'll go ahead and snip a little bit extra just to get the bow. All right, and then we're going to wrap it around. We're going to lay it on the inside of the card, obviously. And we will attempt to tie a bow. Let me get it up here so y'all can see, because you know I'm all thumbs. Okay, so we're going to get that down and hold that with your, however you manage to hold everything. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I get a little clumsy when I do this. And this is that kind of satiny, so it will slip around, so you just have to be careful of that. Get that in here where I can pull it through. And then once you pull it through, then we'll adjust. So hold your finger on the knot, pull down. You might want to pull it a little bit smaller than you want your bow because you're going to pull it tight, which is going to pull the ribbon right back up, okay? So, and then you just have to play with it. Just get it the way you want it, and then I'll slide it up on top of my mint macaron. And I think that looks nice. Let me see. I think this bow, see, you just have to play with it. I think this one's a little bit too long for me, this bow here. So we're going to pull him in a little bit more. And I'll pull it a little bit more than that. And let me go ahead and adjust this one well so I can get them both even. All right, and then we're just going to pull that again. There we go. I think that looks better. Maybe not, but let's see. I think that looks fine. It's crinkled ribbon. It's supposed to be crinkled. Now this one looks a little bit, let me just pull this one a little bit more here, so it looks somewhat even with the other one. Okay, I think that's fine. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over that. Now, if you want to attach this, you can use a mini glue dot to hold it down in place so it doesn't slide around. And I would probably recommend doing it underneath the bow. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my tails, and I'll just trim those up. And I think that will look fine. And I think I will, since it is doing a little flopping going around, I think I will go ahead and use a glue dot. Let me get my paper snips out. I like to pull them off with that. And I'm just going to adjust this and put the right underneath where the knot is and pull it down, and that will hold my ribbon in place as well as hold my bow. All right, and then you can kind of adjust it a little bit, and that way it doesn't do a lot of sliding. All right, so there's that, and now all we have to do, it's an easy card. I think the hardest part is getting the masking done and stamping. So let me go ahead and attach it to the back of our card base. I'll go ahead and use the liquid glue for that as well, and I'll attach it to the mint macaron piece of, hang on, I guess I'm getting clogged up here. Squish, I might be using it all up, who knows. Okay, so we're gonna get some ink, there we go, get some adhesive on here, make sure I get my corners, there we go. Go ahead and attach our back to the card base of mint macaron, and it should have a little bit of about an eighth of an inch of a border, and I think that's straight. Let's see if we can get it moved a bit. Yeah, I think that looks good. Get my ribbon down. And there's our flowers. Now, I should have probably moved, because I don't see as many flowers right here as I would prefer. I should have moved that mask, the stamp up to where that flower was probably right under there, which would have brought the poppies up a little bit higher. But it's still a nice looking card. And then the person that will open it, they'll see the beautiful flowers, and then you can write your message down here. All right, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope to have one ready for you next Tuesday. I will let you know if I don't. I will be coming back that evening, so I'm going to try to get one done tomorrow for you as well. Okay, thanks again. Make sure you share the video, and if you'd like to purchase the Painted Poppies stamp set, then go to my online store at shallwestamp.com. And if you're not signed up for my newsletter, why don't you go ahead and do that as well. That'll keep you up to date on various things that I have in some online classes as well. All right, everyone, make sure you share and leave a comment. And when I return, I will draw names for a gift. All right, thanks again, and have a great evening. Bye now.